when you realize just how much of a 5-stat game ranked is. It is this game mode, the way that it's built out, not even just the game mode itself, but the ladder system is built that if you're not on a 5-man, it's kind of pointless to play, and that's just the simple reality of it. Just the reality is that, like, if I even wanted to try to rank on the leaderboard, I would have to be in a 5-man all the time, every day, and I don't want that. And I'm gonna dare say that the majority of the player base is not 5-man groups. So they either need to split queues for 5-man teams and like duo, solo, duo kind of a queue, or they need to separate the leaderboards, or they need to make it to where like Ultra and Masters are only solo duo queue. They got to do something, because having the highest side of the ranked ladder be dominated by teams, it's just not fun.
Us solo queue players, we are for sure the majority of the players playing this game, right? It has to be. And I feel like we're just the only ones that get punished. There's like quests that have to play with other people, but some of us just enjoy solo queuing, right? I just don't want anyone to my team. I just want to go in, play against 10 players also that want to just queue alone. And I'm very sad because I'm someone who, in my old game, Heroes of the Storm, I was pretty much always, every season almost, I was at least one time ranked 1 on the ladder. And in this game, I literally can't. Like, if I don't play 5-man stacking or 5-man ladder, I can't be ranked 1, which is quite sad. Because it's something I actually used to always go for in my old games, and I really enjoyed doing a lot. And now it's just literally impossible. Okay, as soon as you get to like 1600 points in Master, you can't anymore, right? You can like pre-mate to 1600 points, and after that, it's all solo queue based or something. You know, that would be quite nice as well, something like that, so you can play together for the stick gun stuff, and afterwards you have like a solo queue ladder where you can actually test your skill against other solo queue players and see who's actually, you know, very good and very skilled when it comes to playing ranked, and then still have like a separate leaderboard as well for teams, right? Because I feel like it's so bad that the leaderboard is 5-stacking and like just all the ranks are in one. I really just want them to bring out 2 separate game modes, one solo queue duo queue mode and one team mode.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we're going to be diving into this video from Chris Heroes. How is this fair? Solo queue players are punished way too hard. You've obviously already seen a clip of me from back in September 2021, and now looking all the way forward to April 2023. Let's go ahead and react to this. I'm going to give some of my thoughts, and yeah, let's go from there.
What's up, guys? The topic solo queue I kind of want to bring up.
Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name is Krashy, and today we're going to be diving into this video from Chris Heroes. You've already obviously seen the clip of me from back in September 2021. Looking forward, flash forwarding to some of the clips from this video now in April 2023. So I have watched this video, but I'm going to go ahead and kind of react to it and give my thoughts in real time as he's making points. And yeah, so we're taking a look at how is this fair? Solo queue players are punished way too hard. Pokemon Unite.
What's up, guys? The topic solo queue I kind of want to bring up again, because lately I've been playing games that are just absolutely zero fun for a certain scenario, and just in general playing with premates. In case you know what premates are, premates mean.
So I'm gonna go ahead and pause there. First and foremost, I think that it's really great that Chris is speaking up about these kinds of issues. It's not like this is the first time he's done anything like this or talked about this, but it often doesn't come out in video form where it's like a targeted thing. And you know, someone like me obviously has been speaking up about solo queue issues and just the issue with the ranked ladder as a whole, and it's pretty much entirely unchanged over almost a 2-year period. And I think that that's like, just for lack of a better way of putting it, it's completely unacceptable. Like 100% unacceptable to see zero iteration on this particular issue, no kind of attempts to make it better. And yeah, so we're going to take a look at it. And I do love that Chris is coming from the solo queue perspective, because he actually nails on some really key specific things, and we're going to touch on those whenever he does so.
I mean, people who queue as 2 or 3 players into ranked, that's what's
Talking about
pre-made,
now.
also 5 as well, of course. And it's just not fun as a solo queue player to play with those. It's really not. I feel like the skill difference between your duo queue and the enemy duo queue is already quite insane sometimes for trio queue as well. The games become so one-sided, but this game specifically right here, this happened a lot lately. So as you can see, the enemies have a trio queue and a duo queue. My team is 2 duo queues. You can find this on Unite API. There's like a match history.
All right, so this video is pretty loaded, and you have to know how to segment the talking points a little bit. But right now what he's talking about is essentially matchmaking. this is matchmaking, right? We're not necessarily talking about matchmaking in terms of skill, but there is like a nuance amount of that, because he's essentially saying like, hey, when you have these kinds of matches, like it's such a toss up on like who the good players actually are. And he's actually going to touch on this in a little bit. Essentially, because Chris is a high rated solo queue player, he's always going to get the worst teammates. That's literally how it works. He will never have the good people on his team because he's high rated, and because the matchmaking is trying to make a fair game. I always say this all the time: fair does not equal fun. So first of all, we're talking about matchmaking in two different ways. We're talking about matchmaking in terms of the disparity in skill, but we're also talking about matchmaking in terms of party size. A solo queue player playing against a trio queue plus, it's not fair. I think solo duo, like I've always talked about solo duo mode, having solo duo, the necessity of solo duo, how other MOBAs, other games, competitive games have solo duo. Solo duo is like where you have to draw the line, right? Any more than two people in a party coordinated on a 5-man team, it's like you have too much percentage of the team already decided and planned out and working together. It's too much influence on a game. So solo duo really is the gold standard when it comes to running competitive online ranked games that aren't trying to be a competitive level scenario. And what I mean by that is that ranked is not pro play. Pro play is pro play. Ranked is meant for the masses. So he's already showing a screenshot where he is the only solo queue player in a 10-person match. And this is ridiculous. Like, this match is just so silly. And he's going to elaborate on that.
You can always see who was pre-mating or who was playing together, grouped up as a
Big
team.
shout outs to Unite
And
API.
I'm the only solo queue player out of 10 players. And the game thinks it's fair to match a trio and a duo against a 2-duo and a solo queue player, which is ridiculous to me, right? Like, this is absolute nonsense. And these games always feel so bad to play as well, because if you're unlucky enough, like in this game, if you're unlucky enough and the enemy pre-mates are on your lane, you're gonna get ganked the entire game, right? Pre-mates always gank each other's lane. Yep. So if you're stuck against the trio queue on top path or something, the jungler will always be there, and it's gonna be so difficult for you. If your trio queue is worse as well, you're just gonna get run over. But this is the worst scenario by far. The only solo queue player in a lobby of 10 players.
Yeah,
and in general as well, if you are a high ranked player,
here he talks about what I said earlier.
Player, it's just always the enemies will always have the better trio queue for a lot of reasons, right? Because they already have a hard time matching your high points in solo queue. So I'm currently at like 2,100 points. If I get matched, the enemy pre-mates, enemy duo or trio queue will always be better than mine, just by points, based on MMR. They will always be superior just because they try to match out my solo queue rank. So
he's talking about how the game is trying to make fair matches, right? So like if he's high rated, it's never going to put him with a high rated trio. Does that make sense? Like, why would the game put him with a high-rated trio whenever it could use him with lesser skilled people to go against the high-rated trio? So if there's, this matchmaker that has this bucket of 10 people, it's never going to take the 3 good players and put it on a team with 1 good player. It's always going to put the 3 good players against the 1 good player with other people that now he has to carry. And this is the exact experience I've talked about for almost years now, where it's like, if you are a good solo queue player, the game is so unfun. Like, it is, every burden of being good and trying to win is now put on your shoulders. You have to carry everybody. And this is a matchmaking discussion. This is a rank system discussion. This is a philosophy on how you approach party sizes and how the rank ladder should work as a whole. This is the number one thing that I've been talking about for years, almost. For literally almost years. I went back, and y'all saw that clip. I went back and found the first time I brought up solo duo queue. It's almost been multiple years. And the reality is that, there was so much scrutiny against my hate on the game. And it was just because I was forward thinking. I've played MOBAs for a decade. These systems are non-negotiable. And you will get the anecdotal arguments and the people that come back in response. And I saw one in the comment section to Chris's video. I could literally find it in his video, where someone said, oh, well, I don't know about solo duo because I really like playing with my friends, and there's usually 3 of us, and I would really hate to have to be forced to only solo or kick one of my friends out of the party, and we really just play together. And it's like, that's awesome. I love that you have 3 friends that play the game together, but not everyone does. And the reality, and Chris is going to touch on this specifically, you saw it in the clips from earlier, most players are not in that scenario. The vast majority of players are playing by themselves, maybe with 1 friend. And so You don't design the game for what's best for the anecdotal group of pockets of people. You design it for what's best for the entire player base.
It's happened multiple times now where I'm the only solo queue player in a lobby of 10 players. And at this point, I'm like, why are we getting punished this hard? I feel like us solo queue players, we are for sure the majority of the players playing this game, right? It has to be.
Always is in every game.
I feel like we're just the only ones that get punished. There's like quests that have to play with other people, but some of us just enjoy solo queuing, right? I just don't want anyone to make them. I just want to go in, play against 10 players also that want to just queue alone. It does always feel a bit less try hard as well, because if there's like a try or something, suddenly like voice comms might become a thing, and people are talking to each other and stuff, and on Discord or something, and it just becomes a completely different game, which I kind of don't want to play. Like, I like these chaotic solo queue games that are very fun, very unpredictable, and I think these pre-made games just ruin my experience lately a crazy amount, and I don't know what to do.
I want to touch on what he just said, because I think that that's really important. He said, I think that these trio queue games, and he really, what he's saying is, like, I think that this rank system and this matchmaking and the way that this ranked mode is handled is ruining my experience. I want you to really think about that sentence. Ruining my experience. The gameplay of Pokemon Unite has always been amazing. It's always been amazing. Even with how shitty the menus are, and the Pokemon, or the Nintendo Switch sucks. Shout outs to y'all on mobile. The Switch sucks, and the performance is bad. The character design and the gameplay, and even just the niche design of Unite as a MOBA. There's no other MOBA. I don't know if some of y'all don't know this. There's no other MOBA that focuses on scoring points, as far as I know. They always have a very similar goal, and Unite is very, very different and unique. They absolutely nailed the gameplay and the uniqueness of this game in the MOBA genre as a 10-minute locked, much more casual MOBA. They nailed it. But the experience is 99% of the time not fun. Especially if you fall into this category, right? Like, if you're playing solo queue, this game's not that fun. It's very frustrating, and it's not designed for you. And that's the problem. This is all by design, and the design is wrong.
About it. I just don't know why we don't even have even this leaderboard, right? Like, I can never have a high rank on the leaderboard because of 5M pre-mating, but that's a different story as well. What my suggestion would just be, like, I'm fine with duo queues. I think it's also a bit unfair, and that's another reason why this as well, because duo queues who play Comfey and like Zacian or Urshifu Comfey or Venusaur Comfey, you have no chance. As soon as those people are on the enemy team and they're like a duo queue, and your duo queue picks like Greninja, Cinderace, and Lane, which can happen a lot as well, you have just no chance of winning. It is taking two Pokemon together that have like synergy as a pre-mate up against solo queue players is such an unfair advantage.
So it's funny. In really, really high tier League of Legends, there actually is like a camp of people that don't like duo queue, even in ranked. And so, me advocating for solo duo queue is literally like the bare minimum. It's the bare minimum, because there literally are high rated players in League of Legends that hate duo queue. They think it's a crutch. They think it's unfair. They think that you can exploit it by being overly coordinated. And I mean, to some degree, it's true. The reality is, if you have a team of all 5 solo players, and then you have another team that's 3 solo players in a duo queue, that team might have an advantage because of a little bit of coordination. And so this comes into play a bit of a discussion about solo duo queue and actual like skill-based matchmaking. Like, is the matchmaker in the rank system actually being skill-based? Because even if we did have a solo duo mode, that would drastically improve the game, but it doesn't necessarily change the matchmaking. And you could face like a duo queue of like competitive players playing Comfey Zacian, and then you could have like 2 shitters on your team that are playing like Decidueye and like Cinderace and Lane together, right? So yes, duo queue does have a strong influence, but it would be about the matchmaking in the rank system at that point to hopefully, like, if you're a good player, you don't queue into like a shitter duo queue versus like a coordinated duo queue, because that will happen if they don't fix the ranked mode and the matchmaking too. So this discussion is not just about queue party size and matchmaking with party size. It's also about the rank system. And he may not have said it that way, and maybe I'm jumping to conclusions, but like, it's pretty literal. Even if you fix the game and make a solo duo queue mode, which is a 99% improvement because at least it gives solo players something to play for, it still doesn't even mean that the experience of the game is going to be it's not going to be entirely fixed. I shouldn't say better. It would be better, but it wouldn't be entirely fixed because you're still going to have to deal with shitter players because of the way that this game ranks people up and because of the way that the matchmaking works. So this is a systemic issue that has been breaking down from like multiple issues that all have been being spoken about for over a year, for almost 2 years for me. And yeah, I'm him, right? Like I can be an egotistical asshole right now and say, I said that this was coming. I said that these were issues. And it's not like Chris is late. He's known. But, you know, anybody that didn't understand the issues back then probably understands it now. And it's very, very obvious why this is an issue.
Even right to start, it's just so unfair when it comes to like a competitive ranked mode, right? That the enemies can like, you know, choose what they want to play with, of course. And I mean, there should be more synergy as well, but you know,
we also need draft,
going into a game, yeah, these two are going to play this together. And you just not going to have a chance. The countlessation comp phase I played against is getting
if there was a pick ban draft,
ridiculous
then,
amount.
you know,
and this game is right here. So the enemies have a trio queue, which is like a team that tried to qualify for the EOS Cup. They almost did. So they're like a top European team, 3 of their players. And I had a jungle Blastoise going triple glasses, I think, in jungle or something. I don't remember what it was, but it was nothing great he played. And he took like a long time. Yeah, he played Blastoise with Hydro Pump and Surf in jungle.
So this is kind of talking about the skill right here, right? Like he's not saying it directly, but he's saying like, I played against a trio queue of literal competitive players that played in a team in AOS Cup, and I'm playing with a jungle Blastoise with Potion and Surf and Hydro Pump. So it's like this is not even close to fair.
With Potion. And these are the kind of teammates I get up against like a team that's actually a team. Like the 3 on the enemy team, they are actually a team that play together competitively. And I'm just sitting here with a Surf, Hydro Pump, Jungle, Blastoise. This is exactly what I mean when it comes to like the difference in teammates. And I'm very sad because I'm someone who, in my old game, Heroes of the Storm, I was pretty much always, every season almost, I was at least one time ranked 1 on the ladder. And in this game, I literally can't. Like,
boom. That right there. That is the nail in the coffin. It's the thing I've been saying for over a year. In Pokemon Unite, if you're not a 5-stack player, this is a bit extreme, but you're going to understand what I mean. In Pokemon Unite, if you're not a 5-stack player, there is no reason to grind. There's no reason. You get Masters, maybe you push for your sticker, and then you beat the game for the rest of the season. He's literally saying, in Heroes of the Storm, another MOBA, he would hit rank 1 at some point in the season. He would grind for it. He would get rank 1. In Pokemon Unite, Chris Heroes, listen to me. I think we all can reasonably speculate that Chris Heroes might be the best solo queue player in the game. He puts a lot of work into it at very least. He will never be rank 1. Does that make sense? He will fucking never be rank 1. He will never even probably be a top 100 player unless it's early in the season and he grinds really fast. What's the fucking point? What's the point of playing this game and playing ranked if you can't test your skill? If you can't prove how good you are?
Like, if I don't play 5-man stacking or 5-man ladder, I can't be rank 1, which is quite sad. Because it's something I actually used to always go for in my old games.
It ruins
and I really
the game.
Doing a lot. And now it's just literally impossible. What are you guys' suggestions for this? I mean, I would just like it to be, I mean, just trio queue should be gone 100%. I feel like queuing as 3 people is absolutely cheating. You should not be the majority of your team decided before you even load into the game.
We touched on this
straight
already.
up. I think it's very, very unhealthy for 60% of the team to already be decided before you even queue up together. I don't think that's healthy. And I think it just makes matchmaking so much more difficult as well. Because sometimes, you know, people who queue up together like similar skill, right? So let's say the enemy team, the trio queue again is a team, they're pretty high scaled players, right? They're like 2,000, 3,000 points. And then your trio queue might be like 1,300 or something. And if one of you is 1,300, the other 2 will probably also be, because people mostly still, you know, the people with the same skill kind of queue up together as a team much more often, right? So just going into a game, one trio queue is often going to be miles better than the other trio queue. And it's like that's the most annoying thing as a solo queue player.
See, now he's just talking about literal matchmaking. He's just talking about like, oh, even if the game does pair trio queue versus trio queue, the game's design, and they've never specifically stated this, but it's just so obvious, is the design of the matchmaker in this game is speed. It's not designed to make fair games. It tries. It's not designed like it's like lower on the priority list. Like what a matchmaker is it's just a set of rules. It's literally a list of rules. So like number 1 on the matchmaker is make a game quickly. Number 2 on the matchmaker is like try to pair equal party sizes. Number 3 on the matchmaker is like kind of keep it elo based, right? Kind of keep it like master point MMR based, kind of like it's trying, but it's like it's low on the priority list. You know, I think somewhere up there, probably like number 1 or number 2 is technically region, but you get my point, right? Like you can bump some of those down so you can have region, because it tries to pair region, and then after like a minute it gives up on those rules. So yeah, the way a matchmaker works is you essentially give it rules, and then it has like these restrictions of time where after certain amounts of times it just starts loosening the rules. So it's like, oh yeah, try to put them in North America region, okay, abandon that. And then it's like, oh yeah, try to put it, you know, 5 versus 5, oh, we couldn't find it, abandon that rule. Okay, try to make it 3 and 2 versus 3 and 2, abandon that rule. Now we're going to do 3 and 2 or 5 versus 3 and 2, or we're going to do 3 and 2 versus solo and 2 and 2. So it's just a set of rules. And so he's just literally talking about matchmaking at this point. Like even if the game did only allow trio queue versus trio queue and duo queue or something like that, even if it did force that to happen, it's like it's still not going to be fair because the game prioritizes speed over actual matchmaking. And so again, this discussion is very much so about the design philosophy behind the ladder, behind the rank system in terms of skill, and behind the actual matchmaking from a party size standpoint.
To deal with. It is so incredibly annoying. Also, again, the ganking part, they only always gank their pre-mates, so if I'm like stuck in a side lane, you never get any assistance from them as well. It never happens. If they have like a Comfey, the Comfey will only sit on the premade partner, go nowhere else. The Blissies only unite with their premade partners, and so on. Like it just doesn't feel fun to play with. It really doesn't. I think keeping Duke would be fine personally. I wouldn't mind it too much. I could also just make it as soon as you get to like 1600 points in Master, you can't anymore, right? You can like premade to. So
this is an idea, right? So originally, my perspective has shifted ever so slightly. I think the ultimate solution, but there's pros and cons to everything. Let's talk about that really quickly. The ultimate solution is to take the game and make it solo duo only ranked ladder, to have 2 ranked ladders, solo duo only and team/flex ladder. And he's going to talk about flex ladder in here in a little bit. That's the perfect solution, because then you have a ranked home for everyone. The problem with that is player base size. Can we actually do it? So let's say hypothetically we know that that's not going to work. Okay, well then the next best solution is solo duo only. And when you say, well, why is that more important than 5 stacks? Because it's the majority of the player base. We've talked about that. The vast majority of people are not group pairing people. They're usually people that will maybe play with like a friend, maybe 2 friends, or by themselves. And so with that reality, solo duo is just the more sensible thing to pick, regardless of what you and your friends want. It's about the entire player base. So realistically, my solution was, hey, once you hit masters, it's solo duo only. Chris' solution pushes that bar a little bit further and says, once you hit 1600, it's solo duo only. And actually, I think that this is a beautiful representation of Pokemon Unite having its cake and eating it too, right? Because Pokemon Unite wants to be casual. They want everybody to hit all the rewards. They want everybody to feel good about themselves. So let's do it, right? Give them their cake. Give everybody masters. Give everybody 1600. And then cut the fucking cord off of them, right? Like literally, like remove the training wheels and say, okay, the game is solo duo now. Well, good luck. Like, you're not climbing that ladder unless you're solo duo. Do I think that's the best solution? No, actually, I think it's an okay solution, but it is a solution to the problem, right? Because at least everybody could friendly grind up to 1600 together, and then the real ranked ladder would start, right? You remember back then the sentiment was like, oh, well, ranked really starts at masters. Well, it's like, I mean, yeah, kind of. Well, it would be like that again, right? It'd be like, well, ranked really starts at 1600. Again, I don't even think this is the best solution. I just think it's a solution. So my solution was, hey, if you can't do just a full-on solo duo ladder, do solo duo for masters. Chris's thoughts are, hey, if you can't do a full-on solo duo ladder, maybe do it solo duo or solo only for 1600 plus and really test people's skill in a rank setting. So I don't know. What do y'all think about that idea? It's a beautiful saying. There's more than one way to skin a cat, but the reality is that there's pros and cons to everything. So you have to think about the bigger picture.
To 1600 points, and after that, it's all solo queue based or something. That would be quite nice as well, something like that. So you can play together for the stick gun stuff, and afterwards we have like a solo queue ladder. where you can actually test your skill against other solo queue players and see who's actually, very good and very skilled when it comes to playing ranked, and then still have like a separate leaderboard as well for teams, right? Because I feel like it's so bad that the leaderboard is 5 stacking and like just all the ranks are in one. Because right now, if you actually check out the leaderboards, the current first place, they're currently kind of abusing the system a tiny bit, and they're sitting at 6k points. And how am I supposed to get there? Like the upper limit of solo queue is like 2,200. Getting more than 2,200 in solo queue is very, very difficult to even be up there. And if you check right now the leaderboard, I mean, I don't know how much it actually is. Like it's a crazy number those people are on. Check right now. You can see 7,179 points. Like it's such a joke. And the season's also messed up for them.
I love that he didn't just bring it up and was like, oh, that's ridiculous, or like oh, look at this. He was like, it's such a joke, like, because it's true, man. But this is the only season we've ever seen that, right? I think the max we've ever seen before was like 3 to 4k, and the reason why is because matchmaking is actually worse than it ever has been, because now you have 5 stacks not even facing 5 stacks all the time. Like I guess that's always been that way. You have 5 stacks not even facing masters all the time. You have them facing like vet and ultras, and it's just weird, man. Like I really don't know what they're doing when it comes to the rank system and the matchmaking, but we're telling them what they need to do, and it's fairly objective. There's a layer of subjectivity to it in terms of how you solve the problem and which direction you take it, but there are some objective truths about the way that these rank systems and ranked competitive game systems should work, and here are some of them. You need the game to be skill-based, so you need people to actually need to earn some of their rank to a reasonable degree. You need matchmaking to be sensible in terms of like actually trying to place people of even skill against each other, and then you need the actual matchmaker from the perspective of party sizes to be solo duo. At some level, it has to come down. It has to cut down to solo duo somehow, so that way there can be competitive integrity and have a system that makes sense, is fair, and grindable for player retention, for fun, or the majority of the player base. These are objective truths when it comes to running a rank system.
Because actually, those 5-man premates play against ultra players. They play against trios and duos in the same game as well. So the matchmaking for them is also completely messed up, where it just allows them to just win game after game after game after game, up to 7,100 points now. Like, what even is the point? So this season is just a complete mess already as well. And I'm so tired of the pre-made in my games. I really just want them to bring out 2 separate game modes, one solo queue duo queue mode and one team mode. And maybe even have the team mode be something with like, you get points for the World Championship or something if you're like a top 10 team at some point at the end of the season or something. I don't know. Make it different rewards. Make something about it. But please, I just really need the difference between a solo queue mode or solo duo queue mode and a 5-man stank. So my suggestion would just be, there's a solo queue duo queue rank mode that goes until 1,600 points. After that, it's only alone. And have a team. Have a 5 where you can only queue up as 5, and that's it. Or just have a flex mode. League of Legends has something called flex ranked, where you can queue up as any amount. So you can queue up as 1, 2, 3, I think 4, I'm not sure as 4 or 5, and you just get matched against teams, right? So that's also something they could do. So have like 2 different ranked modes. I know they don't want to split up the player base because it's going to be bad. But if they just make one 5 and one solo, I think nothing is going to happen, right? The 5-6 are still going to play against 5-6, which they normally should be doing anyways. So nothing's really going to change when it comes to that. So I don't understand why that's... I mean, I understand why it's not the thing, right? This game is more meant to be casual. But then it's like not casual at the same time. It always confuses me a tiny bit.
I like this point here. I think it's important to know what the game is. And the question is this game casual or is this game competitive? And, if I ask that as a literal question, like I ask you right now, type it in the comments. The reality is that it's subjective, because I think a lot of y'all will probably say casual, but it's also inherently competitive, right? Like it does fall under the MOBA genre, which is inherently competitive. It is a team versus team game. Like you are one team fighting another team. That's competitive. It does have a Unite Championship Series esports that has a Worlds event that went to London last year and is going to Japan this year. That's competitive. Like it has professional casters, Chris being one of them. That's competitive. There's money involved. There's broadcast involved. There's talent involved. There's pro players involved. There's salaries involved. There's like, So the reality is that, like, it is subjective if you want to call this game casual or competitive, but this is what I'm talking about when I say that they can have their cake and they can eat it too. It's both. It is literally both. So you need to treat it like both. You need to build a culture of players playing standard mode. You need to build rewards and challenges and freebies and stickers and cool shit for standard. And you need to flush out the rank system and make it competitive and make it grindable and make it prestigious. You need to fucking have some awareness that you can have your cake and eat it too. And for any representative of Pokemon, if some dumbass happens to watch my fat fuck ass make a video about this, wake up. This game could be the biggest Pokemon Company IP video game in history. If they want it to. If they want it to. This game could span 10 years. If they want it to. I truly believe that this game could get bigger, more popular, have more players, and a bigger following than the main series Pokemon games. I genuinely believe it. Because you can have your cake and you can eat it too. You have an infinite pool of source material. You have gym leaders and cities and badges and rewards and infinite characters and infinite lore. You have an infinite amount of source material to pull for this game. And you know what I always hear about Unite? That's cool for Pokemon fans? I get to control my Pokemon. I've never done that. Not really. I've heard some games here and there, but you have something here. You have something. Just take care of it. Just harbor this thing. Pokemon Unite is like an infant child that just needs love and attention. And they're just killing it. And it's fucking sad, man.
It just always confuses me on what exactly the rank mode is supposed to be. They just want people to get to 1600 points, I think, and then stop playing. I think that's their main goal, right? And they don't care how you get there. They just want you to get to 1600 points, feel good about yourself, because you reach your sticker, you reach on the rewards of the season, and then they want you to stop playing, come back in the next season, buy the battle pass, and so on and so on. I think that's the main goal. Which I think is quite bad as well, though. I feel like you should get players to wanting to play the game as much as they can, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't really feel like that. I mean, for some, it's going to take a while to grind to 1600 points, and the seasons are quite short already. But yeah, this is my biggest wish for Unite still. He's still trying to win the game. I think I have nothing else to talk about, and we sadly lose Rayquaza right here. Could have been a close game. I tried my hardest to win this one with the Hyper Voice Sylveon. It was just not enough. It's just so difficult to play against coordinated premates in solo queue, especially if they're also maybe on voice. There's a high chance the enemies could be on voice, especially for trios, as I mentioned. Could be sitting on Discord and talking together, and it makes games so difficult. And yeah, I think, again, the biggest issue I have as well is just how unfair it is being matched against players that, you know, play together. It just doesn't feel fair. It feels like an unfair advantage every single time I go through these matches.
It is.
And yeah, this game wasn't even close, right? This game, we tried, but man. 13-3K Jungle Blastoise with Surf Hydro Pump. What can you do? Hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let me know
And again, I want to add that last little flair. He's really leaning on the experience of, like, it's just not fun to play these kinds of matches. I'm going to step on the gas again one more time. It's also not fun, but he also has no reason to play this game other than it being his content job, right? He can't ladder. He can't climb. He can hit a reasonable amount, and then he just gets stuck because he's not 5. So from that very last sentiment alone, the incentive for solo queue players, for non-5 stack players for that matter, is just so low. So I would love to see this fixed. Friends, thank you so much for watching. Drop a like on the video, subscribe for future Pokemon Unite or MOBA content here on the MOBA Krashy channel. As always, be sure to comment on that. Tell someone you love them. I love you, Chris. And I'll see you in the next video.